Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett. Maddie, it's so good to see you. I
Good to be
missed
back.
you.
Yeah,
How was your
missed you too.
vacation?
It was awesome. It was a week on the beach in Georgia, Tybee Island, which is next to Savannah. So, like, wake up, take your time getting to the beach, walking over to the beach. It's a fairly like open, not very crowded beach there. Walk over to the pool. Kids want to swim for a little bit, and then it's going to be lunchtime. Have some lunch. Maybe go into Savannah in the afternoon to explore around a little bit, which is a very charming city. Put a bunch of pictures on like a random thread that we were both in. I think some other people were in it too. They're probably like, "Oh, what is this? What is going on here?" So, hey, there's pictures out there somewhere if you want to see them, folks. Yeah, it was incredible. Of course, coming back into like the grind of orientation season, which is like almost winding down at work, was a little bit like, oh, reentry, but came back really feeling like really refreshed and like ready to, end the season well. So it was just what I needed because I was definitely starting to feel it. I mean, I think you said before or after the show, the last one I was on that, like I seemed kind of grumpy or something. That was just like the weight of everything kind of getting to me. So I feel so much better now. So much better. So, hey, the show last week was awesome, by the way. Like, major props to you and Joey and Big B. Like, it was so much fun to listen to. And I feel like I was like trying to like I was trying to say things at you guys while I was listening. I was like, yes, that one. Yes. Dawn mentioned the athletic football show, like that kind of thing. And it was super fun to listen to. So really great work on that.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Maddie. I was thinking maybe it was really hard to pick top 10. I think it should have been 20 or at least 15. And so maybe next week or something, since we've got a few weeks here, maybe we could do the top 20 or something like that. Yeah. So
perhaps
because there's so many people that I want, I want on that list.
That was the thing. Yeah. I mean, when you started talking to with the boys, it was like, man, someone's gonna get left off this list and someone else's. And like, there's people you didn't get a chance to mention. And, right. Big B brought in Paul Brettel at the very end, which was like,
I know. He was like,
yes.
That
was all belongs on the list.
That was so great.
It was a good move.
We have to do top 10, top 20. For sure.
I will say the unfortunate thing about bringing Paul Brettel in on the last second in the list is I think that's what bumped Aaron off. So, if I remember correctly, because I think Aaron was like she had number 10 locked up, and then Big B's like, wait a minute, Paul Brettel. So I was like, well, okay.
I know, I think two of us had. I wish she showed up on our lists in several places for all three of us. I think actually. So yeah, that was rough. And I felt like I needed to be the diplomat. So it was more like, So we definitely need to have another 10.
I would say too.
So many good contributors.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you mentioned you had to be the diplomat. Like, I was impressed with how well you did with that role, kind of moderating the things, kind of bringing the ideas together, trying to be collaborative with the guest hosts. So yeah, I mean, that was awesome. I will just say, in case you're listening, Aaron, because I know you're a regular listener, you would have been at the top of my lists, for especially for both On Brand Off Topic and Last Call Lambo. So I'm just letting you know if I was there on the show, we're getting the love from me, but that's okay. If we do top 20, you're definitely making it. So that's just my own personal feelings. So Dawn, great show last week. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Tash is hanging in there. We're still dealing with her stuff, but she's a happy little kitty, and we had a great day. She did tear out one of my lettuce plants today, and one of my favorite, it's like a leopard succulent, which I think probably she went for it because she thought it was a relative, but because it's a leopard. But yeah, so she had a timeout most of the day, and then but she's happy. She's really happy, and I'm feeling hopeful about her, future care. But it's going to be a long haul with her. Yeah, it's kind of interesting So I think when you were gone, she saw a specialist and had more tests. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's been a process. But yeah, I'm really happy. She's happy, and we're holding. And she's got a new food now that has all these extra things for her digestion because it is obviously a digestive issue, and she's actually eating, which makes me super happy.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like I hear the little crunch, 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 and I'm like, oh, she's eating. Because she's lost a lot of weight. So yeah, worried.
Mhm.
And hey, but enough about that. I'm super excited about something I listened to this afternoon.
Tell
John
me about it.
Meredith,
Yeah.
yeah, John Meredith. I don't know if you caught it or not, Maddie, but he did a little 5-minute piece. Remember, I
Mhm.
mentioned, I think it was a couple weeks ago, most generous, I believe, was the superlative. And he mentioned that he was going to sponsor he was going to have a competition for people who wanted to start a new podcast, and he was
Mhm.
making a great offer to mentor them, and like a microphone and
And
um
podcast hosting for like a year,
for
which
a
is
year.
we
Yeah,
have found costs some money. So
it does. It costs money. So yeah, so he put up his top 4 in a
Mhm.
little 5-minute like podcast, mini podcast today. I think it was today or yesterday, and they were
Yeah,
so
I heard it
great.
yesterday. It was yesterday. Yeah, totally.
Well, what did you think? Because I mean, I loved all 4 of them, but I think I have a favorite. What did you think?
Yeah, well, let's just kind of give some quick thoughts on each of them. Okay, so
Okay.
the 4 were Pack Up Your Bets,
Mm-hmm.
Lombardi Time Brews,
Mm-hmm.
Pony Keg Sports, and the Father Son Packers podcast. So for Pack Up Your Bets, I would say my kind of impression was that bringing the sort of like betting angle into the end of the show would be fascinating because that is, becoming such a big part. I mean, not becoming, it has become such a big part of the NFL, of sports in general. And, we, as fans, I mean, I know I do, but a lot of fans do like look at what are the lines in Vegas, like what are the chances of your team winning, because I mean, pretty accurate a lot of the time. Like, obviously not perfect, but like it's a good indicator. So I thought that'd be an interesting concept. Do you have any thoughts on that one specifically?
Well, first of all, I think it's a great title,
Yeah.
which I think is I think that goes a long way,
Mhm.
and I love that he said, he acknowledged that he's going to, just talk Packer talk but then the last 10 minutes, as you mentioned, would be all about betting. And I was a little fascinated with that. I don't
Mhm.
bet, but I definitely think it's kind of a fun concept because so many people do. And
Mhm.
maybe I will, maybe if I listen to them, I'll start betting.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I liked it. I think John's going to have a hard time. Well, I guess John's going to just rely on all of us
Just
to
gonna
vote,
vote.
right?
Yeah, you should
Yeah,
definitely go
yeah.
vote, folks. I actually have the form open right now. Hit submit after we get done talking about them. But next one, Lombardi Time Brews. This one I think sounded like the most polished pitch. It sounded like it was like a professionally done commercial.
Yeah.
So, for my own taste, it felt kind of a little too slick. But
Oh.
that's really a personal preference kind of thing. So I'm not trying to say anything bad about the pitch or the guy or whatever. The pitch did emphasize like that the I can't remember the guy's name, of course, but that they will focus a lot on the why behind stuff, which of course I do appreciate that kind of an analysis. But
Mhm.
just I don't know, it didn't quite grab me like some of the other ones did. What did you think, Don?
Was that the one that's going to be 5 days a week?
I don't know. I don't remember for sure.
I just know as a beginning podcaster, starting with 5 days a week,
Can you imagine?
I mean,
That's a lot.
that's impressive,
Yeah.
that's impressive if you can do it. But I love that name too, Lombardi Time Brews. I think they
Mhm.
mentioned, grab your brew and listen, which is very enticing, just like chill out, have a brew. 5 days a week, but yeah, I thought it was extremely professional, ready to like hit the market, ready
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
go. Yeah, very nice, very nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Next one was Pony Keg Sports.
Mhm.
Now I gotta say I like this guy's like energy. He was
Mhm.
like very enthusiastic. And that's fun for sure.
Mhm.
That's kind of my takeaway on that one, really. It's just like this guy has some great enthusiasm. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
It
not
had
sure if that draw me in, but
super good energy, super fun, and what I just love about all 3 of these, all 4 of these actually is that just that we have so many great contributors, but people are
Mm-hmm.
still joining.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just joining the ranks of podcasters. And it's just, whoever you are, whether you get this from John, whether you win or not, do it. Just
You
do
do
it. I
that.
want to
Yeah.
encourage you
Mm-hmm.
to do it because you're all four really, really, really good.
Like both Todd and Jamie have said on the show before, like if you have an idea, just go for it. Actually, Todd said on the show, but Jamie said on Twitter recently, I should say, like if you have an idea for a podcast, just go for it,
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
love that.
do it because, and I always talk about people's thumbprints or fingerprints because
Mm-hmm.
you're the only one who can do it. So whoever you are, all four of you, do it.
Do it. And then, so that, speaking of all four of you, the fourth one, the final one that John submitted for voting is the Father Son Packers podcast. Now, I will say, full disclosure, this was the one that grabbed me the most, and the reason why is because it's a father and a son, and they're both data scientists, I think is how they self-describe themselves, and
Yeah.
like the kind of analysis they'd be doing would be data driven, which like definitely grabs me. That's like what I'm really get like excited about.
Mhm.
Plus father son, like that's so wholesome. I love that,
I know.
as a dad myself, and I have daughters, obviously not a son, but like still, like I don't know, I want to listen to that podcast. I want to hear that podcast. I hope that even if they don't win, I hope they win, that they still go ahead and do it, because that sounds like a really good show.
I agree. That one grabbed me to the father son. It's just adorable and endearing, and the fact that they are driven by data, not
Mm-hmm.
emotions,
Mm-hmm.
is really good because I think we have a lot of emotion in the Packers in the Packers blogosphere. So data driven sounds really good to me. Really, so it's like the emotions of father son and then the data driven. It's just sort of like a nice balance that they are
Mm-hmm.
offering. So I think they're going to get my vote too. When I commented on John's post earlier, I was like, I got to think this over, but I've been thinking about it this afternoon, and I think we agree. I think both the father and son are going to get both of our votes. Hey, Maddie.
Yep, mine for sure. Yeah, I'm voting for them for sure. So
Yeah, and thanks again, John, for doing that. It's just such a cool
yeah,
thing that he's doing. So
cool,
hey,
cool.
so what about superlatives? Do you have some superlatives for us this week, Maddie?
I do. So Don, I guess we should have talked about this beforehand, but you want to go back and forth, or do you want to do like crisscross, or like I'll do mine, then you do yours. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even look what you had. Let's do one. Let's go volleyball.
Volleyball it is. All right. My first one is best new podcast. So it's almost a misnomer to call it a new podcast. It's like an extension of an existing one. And this is the Packernet After Dark. So the concept here is Ryan Schlip had set up a phone number that you can call into. It's like a Google voicemail box or something. So you call in, you leave a message. If he wants to use it on the episode, then once he has a couple of them saved up, he'll play them and give an answer to the questions, kind of respond to it. And so, first of all, fun concept, definitely. But the thing that I really like about it, and like I like it a lot, is like Ryan can be pretty goofy sometimes, like he'll like have his rants and use like his, PFF data, and then he'll have like the silly part, kind of like, almost equal measures most of the time. But so far on the Packernet After Dark, like the silly part takes over a lot of the sort of like, pie here. So it's like a sillier version of Ryan, probably also because he's recording them later in the day instead of like early in the morning like he does for a lot of them. And the people, have been calling in were kind of funny. In fact, on the very first one, it was definitely like kind of a setup because he had definitely had solicited a couple people to call in and like say kind of like chop busting things about JJ Leahy. So like Erin called in, for example, speaking of her, to say that JJ stinks and she can smell him from like states away. So like that was funny. And then Clayton called in and he said some stuff about it. It was so like just like this, he's going in it with like a pretty like playful attitude. So really am enjoying that. I think I've been 3 episodes so far. I actually contributed to the last one because Ryan was asking for content recommendations, and I called him with some ideas for some shows he might want to check out. But so yeah, I'd recommend that if people haven't seen that. I'd say the thing right now is with Ryan, he's got all the different shows that he's putting out through Packernet, because you have like the one that Sam Holman is doing, you have the Cheese and Packers that JJ Leahy does. You have the one that Clayton's doing. There's the other guy doing the other one. There's the other guy doing the other one. Plus Ryan throws another one of his into the mix along with all of his like daily ones.
Yeah,
it's like my podcast feed right now is like Packernet, and so Point being, if you got, your subscription to the Packernet podcast on your streaming service, you're seeing a lot of them on there. So it can be kind of like, daunting. It can seem like a lot because it is. And I don't mean that as a criticism, Ryan. It's the fact of the matter. It's a lot of things out there. And so it could be easy to miss the Packernet After Dark. Seek it out. Fun show. Highly recommend it.
Right. I've listened to at least one of the episodes, and I think it's really fun. And I appreciate your insight into, how he's a little bit looser, and it's actually a different format. So he's not just doing Packernet twice.
Right.
It's actually a different show. Yeah. And so it's worth a listen for sure. I like that.
Nice.
So Maddie, I brought, I'll start with my Fraternizing with the Enemy.
Nice. I love this.
I didn't do it last week. So this is, I think, my fourth, and I'm sorry, but I have another tight end here tonight. I didn't mean to. It was more the story, and he just happens to be a tight end. But if you're listening and you were watching football last year, which I'm guessing that's a yes and a yes.
If you're listening now, you probably are a football fan. So,
So the enemy in this case is Donald Parham, and of course I say that tongue in cheek, right?
Right.
So and this is most grateful. I'm most grateful. If you were watching last year, it was a Chargers game. Donald Parham is a tight end for the Chargers. And I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think you were watching it, but I was watching that game. I seem to be watching all the games that are like newsworthy games. And it was really upsetting. So many of us were devastated because Donald caught a ball in the end zone, and he took a spill, but it didn't look that like big of a deal. But he ended up having a head injury, and he ended up actually what's called fencing, where your body involuntarily reacts to this brain injury, and his arms were out, and it's called fencing. It's a medical. Do you remember that?
Okay. Yeah.
It was so upsetting. I mean, I still feel it. And so the good news is Donald Parham is next week going to be at practice, and he's okay. And he was okay. And we knew that, like, I was watching it like a hawk because I'm a very empathetic person, and I feel things really deeply. And I was like, I can't believe it. I just can't believe he's okay. Are you sure he's okay? I was questioning it. And the thing is, this fencing, and if you've watched football for years and years, you might have seen this happen before, where the arms come straight out and sometimes they shake. And the thing is, with Donald, it went on much longer than anyone has ever seen, at least in a football game, at least televised. And so because of the length of this involuntary reaction, and he was shaking and things like that, people I personally thought, and I'm sure I wasn't alone, that this must have been a more severe injury because of the length of it and the severity of it. And as it turns out, he was okay. And I remember watching it very carefully out here in Southern California, and he was home. I think it was within 3, 4, or 5 days. And I was like, really? He's home? Like, this is crazy. And he's okay. He's okay. And so Donald Parham, his father actually played football. And of course, his parents were watching the game, I think from Florida or something like that. So his mom talked about how she just immediately got on a flight out, and wow. And so, but Donald Parham talked about it in a couple of really great articles that I'm going to mention here. One of them, he said it was a light flashing before your eyes kind of thing, and that was from a really, really extensive and well written article from the LA Times, of course, which you would expect from the LA Times. But he really did see his life flash before his eyes as we were watching him. And so to me, it's just like, again, a reminder that players are people, and, whether it's physical or emotional, we want to remember that these are people out there and they can get hurt, and we really want to respect this sport. He also really feared for his future. There's another really good article in Pro Football Talk And they called it one of the ugliest football injuries in recent memory. And again, it was in December, and it was really at the beginning of the game, and it was so bizarre because I don't know if you remember that. I don't know if you were watching it. I know I was watching it, and I probably messaged you, but I was like, "What?" I mean, nobody even hit him.
Yeah.
He just landed kind of funny. So, yeah. So the fencing response, in case hopefully we'll never see it again, but in case we do, the fencing response is an unnatural position of the arms following a concussion immediately after moderate forces have been applied to the brainstem. The forearms are held flexed or extended, typically right out into the air. So it's very unusual. You just know as a human, like that's not normal. You're not seeing something that's normal for a period lasting up to several seconds after the impact. But with Donald Parham, it was minutes. Yeah, that was the thing that just made, to this day kind of makes me sick. So it was much longer than usual. It horrified everyone who was watching. And I personally assume that just meant his brain injury was more serious, but we don't know. I mean, there's so much medically that we don't know. There's so much about the body, the human body, that we just really don't know. But it's scary. When you have a brain injury, there's some kind of oxygen deprivation, right? So it's pretty scary. But the good news is he's a happy guy. He's doing great. And, he's getting ready for practice next week with everybody else. And he's back and he's happy. And wow, so I just think it's a really great story. And he needs our support. And I'm going to watch the Chargers. I mean, I love Herbert, but so now it's Herbert Parham. Like, come on, Parham, get that ball. I'm going to be really rooting for both of them.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I do remember you messaging me. I think I wasn't watching that game and I had to kind of figure out what you're talking about. But so when I saw like the playback on that, I was like, what is going on here? So I didn't really like follow the story. So to hear that, like he's doing well is great news. That's great news.
He's doing great. He's a big tight end. I think he's like 6'8".
What?
Now, how I love my tall quarterbacks. Yeah. So yeah, he's got a great future ahead of him, and I'm just so happy for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So my next one is going to be most intriguing, I think is what I use. No, most fascinating. So most fascinating. This is going out to the it's actually a podcast that sort of broke or sort of dropped, I should say. That's weird that the broken dropped are very similar, Something was destroyed. No, something was created, actually. So the podcast dropped last week. It was through the Athletic Football Show, through their kind of network. It's called Luck. And so this is actually a multi-part sort of docu-series podcast about the life of Andrew Luck, who, played for the Colts. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, full disclosure, because I was on vacation. I didn't spend time with podcasts. I spent time with family, so I started to get into it. I'm really excited to hear the rest of the episodes. He was a generational talent. I think it's easy to overlook because his career was kind of short, but his career was cut short because of just how poorly they made sure to protect him, to get him an O-line, kind of like what we were seeing with Joe Burrow for a minute there. Like we've seen in the Bears for so many quarterbacks, like I worry that we're seeing with Justin Fields, I mean, he's got a lot of promise, but if they don't get some protection for him, like they're going to just, wear him out immediately. So
that's right.
Point being, that was the kind of situation. And definitely worth checking out. Highly recommend it. This is one of those things where it's like, oh, in the off season, check it out. But like we're about to start training camp, in a week. It's like, okay, I guess we're kind of like accelerating now, but still it's worth taking the time to listen to these episodes of this show. Luck.
Nice. I like it. I like it. So I have, for some reason, there used to be a sportscaster named Andrew. Wait, was his name Andrew?
Yeah.
Rod Luck. Do you remember Rod Luck?
No, not at all.
Okay. He was a sportscaster in Milwaukee, and then he followed me out to San Diego. And I think he's probably long gone, retired or whatever. I don't know. I don't never hear of him anymore. But what's so weird that I remember him, and then when I hear the name Luck, I'm like, I wonder if they're real, relatives, or is it his son or whatever. Rod Luck was sitting in front of me at a Brewers game, and I
Yeah.
was like, had really, really good seats.
Mhm.
And there was a ball, and I went to catch it, and he jumped up and grabbed it.
Oh, Rod Luck. Come
Rod,
on, man.
I don't have a good feeling about him because I'm like, dude, you can get as many balls as you want. Like, give me the ball, creep. So there, Rod Luck. Okay, sorry. He's probably he was a fun but he was in Milwaukee for lots of years and out here in San Diego. I don't know what happened to him. But every time I hear Andrew Luck's random thought. Okay, most heroic. Here's my next superlative. Most heroic. Okay, and I'm really enjoying a couple more episodes before the season starts because I can talk about random crap, right? I can just say whatever. It doesn't have to have anything to do with football. So most heroic is the pizza man who runs in and saves children from a burning fire. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
Yes. Okay. This is so great. His name is Nicholas Bostic. And I read the whole article because actually a pretty long article on Upworthy. But this dude he's a pizza delivery man, and he wasn't even going to that home for delivering his pizza, but he was driving by and he saw this burning house and he saved a bunch of little kids. And evidently there was I think like a 6-year-old still in there, and they communicated that to him, and he went in and he could hear the kid crying. And it was so filled with smoke that he had to get the kid and then go upstairs and then like jump out like he had done with the other kids. And like super bad smoke inhalation and whatnot, but he saved the day. This pizza. So my moral of this story is tip your pizza guy really well.
You don't know how many people they saved on the way to deliver your pizza. You never know.
Save your family. You didn't hear about that?
No, I totally didn't. What an amazing story.
I don't even know how I heard about it. It's just random, me off the grid.
Sure.
Lafayette, I think it was in Lafayette, so down south. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine doing that? I guess.
No. I can imagine dying, but
yeah.
I'd club it up.
Yeah, because it's like I feel like in the moment, like, would I have that impulse to like run into an actual burning building and doing that if to save kids? Like I might, I feel like it's kind of not a good self-preservation move. You could really get hurt, and like the smoke inhalation can kill you, as we learned from the show This Is Us. So like that's obviously a very dangerous situation to put yourself into. But if you're saving other people's lives, I mean, I don't know. That's amazing.
My guess is, okay, all right. So if I'm in this situation, I'd be like, okay, I can get these ones out. Okay, I can get them out, right? And you get them out, and then you find out there's one more.
Yeah.
But your adrenaline is already up there, going. And you're seeing them. It's like, my son, my brother, my whatever. And so you run back in and you see what you can do. You're not going to turn back. Like, I mean, I can't imagine human nature is not going to turn back. They're going to be like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I just saved 3 people. What's another one?
Yeah, and the adrenaline's a good point. And I think also you've already saved a couple of kids, so you already feel like confident, like I can do this. Like I have the power to make the difference here. Like I could see, yeah, you're on the high. You're just going to probably go for that last one too, just to make sure like, nobody's left behind.
And he did it, and so many other people have done it. But yeah, Pizza Man. Love it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hope he's doing okay. Hope he doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had fires out here for years, and we haven't had any in the last couple of years. But I mean, smoke inhalation is a big deal. Like that's going to affect you for life. Yeah. So good for him. What a sweetheart. I hope he has a great life.
I agree. All right. Well, for my last one then, Dawn, this is going to be labeled it as best trash talking. This was fantastic. So the our favorite Pack a Day Wednesday had a special guest, Matt Schneidman, who is somebody we talk about a lot in this show as being an exceptionally good reporter and podcaster. We love his Head of the Pack with Bill Huber, which you talked about last week, actually, when you talked to the power rankings and stuff. So big fan. Of course, I wasn't going to miss that show. They've had him on, I think, once a year for the last couple of years. I remember listening to the one last year, and I can't quite remember the one before that, but that was a really fun show. This one was a very fun show, of course. And my my favorite part was I can't remember how they got into it. I think it's because they were asking him about like if he's going to do the track suits and the Crocs with the socks again. Because that was a big thing last year, and even like Aaron Rodgers was giving him a hard time about it. Kind of busting his chops. And so they were asking about that, and he started. I think that's how it got to it, because he was saying like he cares about how he looks, like he puts effort into like looking nice. Then he was trash talking Bill Huber and Jason Wilde for rolling up like they just got out of bed or just like got done doing yard work. I think is what he said. It's funny because he like got into it, and he's like, I hope they don't hear this, and he's like, nobody tagged them, and I was like. I was ready to like retweet it and tag them. And like that's what I was like, oh, okay, never mind. And, I don't think Bill and Jason are listening to our show probably. So like secret safe with us, Matt. But it was so funny, and especially because you've got like Dusty, Steve, and Sarah there to be reacting to it and playing off of it and feeding into it.
Right.
So that was a funny part. I like that a lot.
That was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I only said, okay, we have a special guest tonight. And I was like, I don't remember who did they say who it was? Did they say who it was? And I listened and I was like, oh, I love him. I'm a little disappointed he's not going to keep going with the tracksuits.
I know. It was so it was glorious is what it was. Some of the ones he had were amazing.
I know. And I was thinking about maybe some merch. Some tracksuit merch here with Hey Willip. We're going to call it the Schneidman.
Still could. Hey, we
still can get your tracksuits here. But no, seriously, I've been thinking about that. Those tracksuits are great. And he said, I kind of felt kind of silly doing it, and I was like, oh no, they were great. They were inspirational.
Just own it. Just do it. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Let your flag fly.
Great episode.
So you have one more superlative for us, Dawn?
I have one more, and this one again, a little bit of left field, but whether you're a football fan or not, I'm pretty sure you've heard, don't do it, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, don't.
That stuff took over Twitter this week. It was hilarious.
Loved it. I follow, and I've been following for years, a cow. In fact, the reason I got on Twitter, I think, was to follow a cow, and his name is Crouton. And so we get a lot of really great footage from the barn, let's say, and wild, and these barn animals. And yeah, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to be following. It's called Eco Sister, and it's called Hi Taylor Blake, at Hi Taylor Blake, and she's going to be on Fallon tonight.
Oh, really?
The Fallon show. She's been like all over major outlets, and I just love that social media is now like what major, like the traditional outlets are now following social media instead of the other way around. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's sort of learning that's happening. Fun. Yeah. These are hilarious.
It is hilarious. So Emmanuel is an emu, right? An emu, or is she? I think she's an emu.
I don't know. Yes, a very large bird.
Yeah, disobedient, and this lady at the farm is trying to live stream with her animals, and Emmanuel always seems to get in the way, and she's just caught fire on Twitter and elsewhere, and look for her on Fallon and Tonight Show and the Today Show and all those places. And it's just super delightful. And even for Turgeson, you know how he changes his name every week. Yeah, so,
his name this last week. Yeah, Emmanuel don't do it. I think
Emmanuel don't do it. So yeah, that gets my most endearing for the week. So so those are my super fun superlatives this week. And also this week, I forgot to mention when you asked what I did this week, I did put together our bingo game for the week, for the season. And so if you want to download a fun way to kind of like remind yourself of who plays what position and what college they went to and what their number is on their jersey. So when everything's happening really fast, you can recognize who's playing on the field. Just let us know and just send us a DM or download the link from the show description because I did put them in. And maybe, Daddy, what do you think? Should we play bingo? We've got 2 more episodes before the season starts. It's actually the preseason, right? So we should play bingo. What do you think?
So would it be like we'd be watching a part of a game or something, and you do like while the game's happening?
No, so what you do is, so it's like, I'll say, here, let me do one, like 33. Like, you know how you call a number?
Yeah.
Yep. And then you'd say
Aaron Jones.
That's right. And then I'd say, because I'm the caller, so I have all the answers. So there's like an answer sheet.
Mm-hmm.
How many years has he been in the NFL?
I'm going to say 5.
Okay.
Is that right?
I don't know. I don't have the close. It's close. 33, 5. No, longer.
Long is it 6 years?
If he's 33, is he? Oh no. How old is he? 28.
Oh, I don't know his age. He's number 33, so I have no idea.
Oh, sorry. Sidetrack. And then I might say, where did he go to college?
He went to with the hat. What's that? Yeah, the sombrero, exactly. What's that called? Don't tell me. I know it. It's I want to say like San Pedro. That's not right. It's something like that, right? San Antonio. Is that what it is?
Is it?
I don't
think so.
It's
not San Pedro.
Somewhere. No, it's not San Pedro. It's somewhere in the desert. Whatever it is.
Yeah. And then, of course, what's his position?
Running back.
Mm-hmm.
Though I bet he'll have the most yards through the air for the first half of the season. That's my prediction.
I hope so.
I think that by the end of the season, he won't have the most, but in the first half, I think that Aaron Rodgers is probably going to lean on him pretty significantly.
I hope so. He deserves the glory, and it's fun. That'll be fun. He's so fun. I love watching him. So anyway, that's how it goes. So the caller calls the number, and then while people are like thinking of their answers or whatever and looking on their card to see if they have 33, the caller can say all these little trivia questions.
Okay.
It's not required for bingo, but it's just a little add-on, right?
I like it. Yeah. El Paso.
That's it.
That's not
El Paso is close to San Antonio.
Yes. El Paso.
There we go. That's right.
Just like,
but didn't a fan give him that hat?
I don't know, because I know that he wears it to like represent El Paso, to represent like the Mexican American community.
Yes,
which matters to him a lot, which I think is really wonderful. Because I mean, like, until you know that you're like, what is this like cultural appropriation? Like, what's he doing exactly? It's like, no, actually, it's like a salute to the people in the community there, which I think is great. So
very cool.
Yeah. So let's do that one of these episodes. I'm all for it. Definitely. That little sample of it, little taste of it was fun. So
it's fun, and it's a fun like family game or friends game. And for me, I like it because then I like remember what their numbers are and the name and the number, because like for me, when I'm watching football, everything just goes so fast, and I'm like, what just happened? I don't know what's happening. And I'm like, and so it just helps me kind of prep a little.
It's like a fun way to study up. Love it.
But it's a game. So we'll have to get at least one other person on our podcast to play bingo with. Maybe somebody who knows how to do it, because they've been doing it with me the last couple of years.
I think I have an idea of somebody who doesn't want us to mention their name on the show. That would be perfect. I would say perfect. This person, to go unnamed, is a loyal listener, I know, and somebody who I appreciate, and I don't tell them that often enough, but I really do appreciate them. That'd be fantastic if we could get them.
Let's see about them.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right, Maddie. Well, let's wrap her up. So any final thoughts?
No, just that this is the first of 3 weeks in a row for us without any guests and without either of us missing a show. So looking forward to this stretch for us because there has been a lot of guests, and of course I've missed a couple episodes this summer. So I'm really excited that we're kind of in this part of the cycle for us. But other than that, just kind of bring us into the closing here, which is friends. Of course, you'll find links in our show description for everyone we mentioned. So please check it out. Also, we'd love to have the chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, or yourself even, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all of the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. Actually, Dawn, side note here, I noticed on the intro today that there was like a hashtag spread the love. Did you add that recently? Did I miss that before? I like it.
It's been a few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed that today. Love it. Okay. Good, so anyhow, you keep spreading the love, and the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
That's right, Maddie. We love you, and we're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and to have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.